The morale situation aboard Outpost Virex 9 was dire. Not wartime level dire. Worse, people were skipping breakfast. The base psychologist, an amphibious creature named Dr. Snorblax, had logged a 73% increase in existential moping. Two technicians started a betting pool on who would sigh the loudest before noon. The cafeteria's nutrient bricks were so bland they were being repurposed as building material. Someone tried to make a sculpture out of them. It collapsed from lack of enthusiasm. That's when the human arrived. Private First Class Daniel Torres was not supposed to be here. He was a logistical accident. Technically an infantry specialist, practically a disaster. His entire deployment record read like a sitcom. Wrong ship, wrong floor, wrong dimension once, allegedly. But today, due to a clerical error caused by an overeager AI who mistook culinary for combatant, he was reassigned to kitchen duty. On an alien base. That didn't have a kitchen. "Your new station," said Commander Karach, gesturing to a gray metal cube the size of a coffin, "is this." Daniel peered inside. One heating element. A nutrient paste dispenser. A sink that dispensed something labeled Hydrogel 3. "And what do I cook with?" Karach blinked his four eyes. "You do not cook. You reprocess caloric allotment. Food is extracted as paste, sterilized through beam flux, then distributed." Daniel turned slowly. "So, you guys eat toothpaste." "It is nutritional efficiency at its peak." Daniel stared at the paste machine, which gurgled. He shuddered. "Not if I can help it." He got to work immediately. Step 1, disable the paste unit. Step 2, build something resembling a grill using a plasma heater and a repurposed hull panel. Step 3, beg, borrow, or barter for ingredients. 3 hours later, a faint sizzling noise echoed down the sterile hallways of Virex 9. A strange smell followed it. Something smoky, spicy, comforting, dangerous. "Are we under attack?" asked Lieutenant Zorn, clutching his multi-beam rifle. "No," said a junior officer, sniffing the air. "I think it's coming from the food cube." By the time they arrived, the smoke had cleared, and a single human stood behind a makeshift counter, flipping meat with an alien scalpel. "Welcome to Taco Tuesday," Daniel announced, wearing a greasy towel as an apron. The officers stared at the plate he offered. Folded synthetic bread, lightly crisped, stuffed with seasoned protein, vegetables, and something called salsa. It was still steaming. Lieutenant Zern sniffed it, frowned, bit. His pupils dilated. "Oh no," he whispered. Then he devoured the rest like it owed him money. Word spread faster than a containment breach. By nightfall, the entire base knew one thing. Section 3C was making illegal flavor. The queue formed within minutes. The station had no protocol for line management, so an impromptu ticket system was introduced using fragments of old tactical reports. The base AI protested but was ignored. Even Dr. Snorblax showed up. "I don't even eat solids," he said, holding a taco with all four hands. "But I am feeling things I haven't felt since the mind-bonding rituals of my larval phase." Commander Karach was livid. "You are using unauthorized resources, unsanctioned energy expenditure, cooking without protective gear." Daniel shrugged. "No one's passed out, and morale's up, right?" The commander paused. Reports showed a 92% drop in complaints. Combat drills were more energetic. Maintenance teams sang Earth songs while repairing oxygen filters. Also, half the command staff was now eating lunch twice. "We can't allow this." "You want a taco?" Karach didn't answer. He just stared, and finally said, "Make it spicy." That night, the alien base that once knew only the bleak sterility of nutrient paste experienced its first communal dinner. No rations, no bricks, no hydrogel soup, just tacos. And for the first time in months, laughter echoed through the hallways. Someone even proposed a fiesta. And though no one knew what that meant, everyone agreed it sounded delicious. By morning, the human was already a myth. No one used his name anymore. He was the chef. Whispers spread like smoke off a sizzling skillet. The chef had fire. The chef had flavor. The chef had reprogrammed a cleaning drone to dice onions so fast it evolved thumbs. Someone said he made a lieutenant cry with something called sour cream. Another claimed they saw him tame a hostile xenopredator by offering it a burrito. The reports were exaggerated, mostly. The coalition sent a representative. Lieutenant Commander Valak arrived in full armor, antennae sharp with suspicion. She came to shut it down. Rogue culinary operations were strictly forbidden on military installations. Food was regulated, standardized, emotionless. And yet, when she reached the mess hall, she found a line. 60 soldiers, 8 species, 1 taco stand. Daniel was humming. "What is that noise?" Vlok asked. "Music," replied a nearby trooper. "Earth music, something about beans not lying." She frowned. "Why is there music playing?" "Because tacos." Vlok marched up to Daniel mid-sizzle. "You are violating Protocol 887A subsection C." Daniel didn't look up. "That the one about ration paste?" "Yes." "Cool. Want a sample?" She blinked. He offered her a plate, 2 tacos, 1 traditional, 1 experimental, which apparently had something called jalapenos, and a sauce labeled Hades fuel. She examined it, smelled it, bit. Her visor fogged. For a full 40 seconds she was still. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "This is heresy. Compliment accepted." She ate the rest in silence. By day 3, the cafeteria was officially rebranded as The Grill. Dr. Snorblax hosted emotional support sessions outside it. Taco-themed morale posters went up. "Wrap your sadness in a tortilla." Daniel expanded the menu. Breakfast burritos, quesadillas, something he called Nacho Loadout Beta, which involved 12 cheeses and a small fire extinguisher. The troops were obsessed, which is when the problems started. The Tharn Squad, elite troopers, 4 arms, no sense of humor. They didn't trust the chef. They preferred efficiency. They ate paste, cold. "Flavor dulls focus," said their leader, Sergeant Grick. "You don't see a plasma cannon eating tacos." "No," Daniel replied, "but you also don't see anyone invite a plasma cannon to parties." Grick wasn't amused. He banned his squad from the grill. They protested. 2 defected that same night. Grick retaliated by raiding the storage bay and locking down the spice stash. A line had been crossed. The first taco war had begun. Daniel naturally escalated things. He printed taco-themed propaganda posters, "Down with paste tyranny." "Spice is the right of all sentient beings." He snuck into the supply room at 0300 hours, bypassed biometric locks using a glove full of mayonnaise, and recovered the cumin. Victory was declared with a round of victory chimichangas, which nearly set off the fire suppression system. The base divided, flavorists versus paste loyalists. Things got weird. Someone installed a salsa fountain in the rec room. Another squad used ration packs to build a throne for Daniel. Even Commander Karach, once a staunch paste advocate, started sneaking into the grill after hours for flavor testing. Eventually, a ceasefire was called, mediated by Dr. Snorblax, who now ran a weekly group therapy titled Processing Human Food Dependency and You. Daniel agreed to share taco privileges base-wide. Grick agreed to try 1 bite of a breakfast burrito. He did. And quietly sobbed into his 4th helping. Nobody mentioned it again. By the end of the week, morale charts were off the grid. Efficiency was up 42%. Casual fights were down. 1 trooper reconnected with his estranged hatch clutch after sending them a care package of earth seasonings. The coalition sent a follow-up memo to review the unauthorized culinary deployment. Daniel replied with a single line, "You're welcome." Attached, 1 taco recipe. By the end of the week, morale charts were off the grid. Efficiency was up 42%. Casual fights were down. 1 trooper reconnected with his estranged hatch clutch after sending them a care package of earth seasonings. The coalition sent a follow-up memo to review the unauthorized culinary deployment. Daniel replied with a single line, "You're welcome." Attached, 1 taco recipe. Taco diplomacy was thriving. Outpost Virex 9 had become more than just a military installation. It was a food sanctuary. Soldiers who once debated tactics now argued over the merits of chipotle versus habanero. Alien engineers began designing ergonomic utensils to better grip burritos. Someone invented a tortilla launcher. It didn't work. They used it anyway. And somewhere in the background of all this madness, Daniel Torres, the accidental cook turned cultural phenomenon, was trying to restock his pantry. That's when he hit a problem. The base had run out of hot sauce. Not metaphorically. Literally. Every bottle of human-made fire had been used, licked clean, scraped by desperate claws and tongues of every configuration. The last half-ounce of Death Widow sauce, do not inhale, had been auctioned off for 3 rations, a plasma cell, and a foot massage from a gruel medic. And so Daniel declared a state of emergency. Not officially, of course. That would require paperwork. Instead, he posted a sign on the grill's counter. Spice drought, flavor crisis in effect, rations will be mild. The panic was immediate. Soldiers began hoarding pepper flakes. Black market salsa packets were traded behind the mess hall. A Vargax trooper tried to replicate spicy by pouring cleaning solvent on his lunch. He was hospitalized for 3 days, but insisted the burn was almost right. Desperate, Daniel tried growing peppers using a hydroponic unit salvaged from the botany lab. It failed. Apparently, pepper plants do not thrive in environments rich with recycled alien foot sweat. He needed help. That's when she arrived. Ensign Kayla Rivers, supply technician, earthborn, smuggler of seasoning. Her arrival was silent. Her impact was not. Daniel found her in his prep bay casually unloading a crate labeled kitchen supplies, definitely not contraband. He raised an eyebrow. You're new. She smirked. I heard this place was suffering from spice withdrawals. Figured I'd save civilization. She opened the crate. Inside, 12 jars of hot sauce, 7 spice racks, a full bag of dried ghost peppers, and tucked in velvet, a bottle labeled Liquid Regret, now with capsaicin enhancers. Daniel stared in awe. Marry me. Maybe after dinner. The sauce returned. The people rejoiced. Commander Karach personally announced the end of the crisis with a somber speech. We have overcome adversity. We have tasted despair. But now our tongues burn anew. Glory to the chef. Kayla was given her own prep station. They called her the Spice Smuggler. Together, she and Daniel created new dishes, burrito bowls, double-stacked nacho towers, and something called a scorched earth chimichanga, which required safety goggles and void insurance. Troops from other outposts began arriving, first for inspections, then for dinner. Soon, the cafeteria had visitors from 5-star systems, and Daniel found himself preparing meals for dignitaries, diplomats, and a mildly famous galactic influencer named Thurb. Thurb posted a glowing review. I have tasted agony. I have tasted purpose. I have tasted taco. The video got 900 million views. Earth cuisine had officially gone viral. The coalition noticed. They sent a full review board to assess the unregulated culinary situation. Daniel met them with a menu, a smile, and a sampler platter. 3 hours later, the review board declared him an acceptable exception to regulation, then asked for seconds. By the end of the day, one board member was weeping softly over a plate of enchiladas. Why didn't anyone tell me food could feel like this? She mumbled. But with fame came friction. A rival outpost, jealous of VRX-9's growing notoriety, attempted to replicate the success. They hired a human chef. From Canada, he made poutine. It caused a riot. No one was seriously injured, but the incident was classified as gravy-related psychological disturbance. The coalition issued a new directive. All Earth culinary assignments must be reviewed by Chef Torres. He added it to the wall, right next to a framed bottle cap from his first taco. Peace returned. The spice flowed. The base thrived. Until one fateful morning when a mysterious signal arrived. Requesting catering for peace negotiations. Planetary conflict at stake. Will negotiate terms in exchange for tacos. Daniel stared at the transmission, then looked at Kayla and grinned. Pack the salsa, we're going diplomatic. The diplomatic transport wasn't made for food service. It was sleek, minimal, designed for tension, not tacos. There were no kitchen surfaces, no spice drawers, no ventilation rated for chili oil vapors. Within 30 minutes of departure, Daniel had turned it into a makeshift food truck with gravity stabilizers. Is this legal? Kayla asked, watching him balance a hot plate between a fusion cell and a crate of emergency rations. Legal adjacent, Daniel replied, flipping a tortilla with surgical precision. Besides, they're not just hungry, they're hostile. This is now a peace mission, with guac. The request had come from Tralis Prime, a disputed neutral zone where two warring species, the Kellen and the Mirtak, had been fighting over mining rights, cultural monuments, and, allegedly, who stole whose playlist first. Decades of warfare. Zero progress. Then someone broadcast Daniel's burrito recipe into the neutral channels. And everything stopped. Now they wanted him to cook, to fix war. The diplomatic compound on Tralis Prime was armored, sharp, and hostile by design. You couldn't take a step without passing a security drone, a sniper turret, or a do not touch unless you want to explode sign. Daniel set up a grill under one of those signs. Both factions had sent representatives. The Kellen arrived in exoshells shaped like scorpions, clicking in rhythmic threats. The Mirtak slithered in with ceremonial blades and a strict no-eye contact policy. No one spoke, until Daniel pulled out a sizzling tray of chicken tinga. The scent was instant. Tension cracked like a dropped plate. "What? Is that smell?" asked the Kellen delegate, helmet venting steam. "Diplomacy," Daniel replied, handing over a warm tortilla. The Mirtak emissary hissed, "You dare serve food during war?" "Yes," said Daniel, folding a burrito, "because it's hard to shout with your mouth full." Kayla passed out plates. Salsas were labeled with danger icons. A Mirtak aide accidentally tasted volcanic verde and achieved temporary enlightenment. The Kellen leader tried a chimichanga and declared it a superior weapon. By the end of the meal, both parties were sitting cross-legged in the dirt, dripping hot sauce and trading barbs not about war, but about who could handle spicier food. Negotiations restarted the next morning, with breakfast tacos. Back on Virex 9, things had changed. Daniel's absence had been felt. The grill, now managed by two ambitious trainees, had started experimenting. One tried blending sushi with nachos. The other invented gravy chimera pie. It was not well received. By the time Daniel returned, carrying peace treaties and leftover tortillas, the base was in mourning. "Where were you?" asked a trembling technician, eyes sunken from days without properly seasoned meals. "Stopping a war." "You could have just sent tacos." Daniel shook his head. This one needed the personal touch. Soon the coalition had a problem. Every command center wanted their own human chef. Applications flooded in. Requesting a Daniel. "Do you rent out Kayla?" Would the human be open to franchising? There were even proposals for a food diplomacy unit. Combat cooks trained in psychological seasoning and battlefield tortilla deployment. Daniel refused. "This isn't a trend," he said. "It's a calling." But he did agree to train others. The first Interstellar Culinary Academy was born. Its motto, "Feed the stomach, disarm the enemy." Kayla designed the logo, a taco with a peace sign. The first graduating class of 12 chefs were deployed within weeks. Conflict zones stabilized. Morale skyrocketed. On one planet, an ongoing rebellion ended after someone introduced churros. But not everyone was thrilled. The Tazari Collective, still bitter from their loss to a human with a stick, viewed Daniel's influence as a new threat. "Flavor-based soft power," one of their analysts muttered. "The most insidious form of warfare." They tried to develop countermeasures, deflavoring rays, taste nullifiers, artificial blandness injectors. All failed. One prototype burst into flames after encountering a drop of Daniel's 5-alarm salsa. The Tazari issued a warning. "Should Torres approach, we will evacuate. We do not negotiate with Chile-based insurgents." Daniel framed it, right next to the original spatula. The coalition tried one last time to promote him. Commander Torres, they said. No, Daniel replied. Chef General? Absolutely not. Supreme Flavor Marshal? He paused. Tempting. But still no. And so he stayed where he belonged, behind the grill, creating peace, one tortilla at a time, until the day he got a message that changed everything. An ancient distress call from a derelict space station, hungry, desperate, and overrun with pirates. The subject line read, "No food. Morale breaking. Please, send the cook." Daniel looked at Kayla. Kayla nodded, and he fired up the skillet. The station was circling a dead moon. No lights, no signals, just a drifting slab of metal whose only transmission read, "Morale critical. Tacos required. Immediate assistance." Naturally, Daniel went. He brought Kayla. He brought the grill. He brought the last of the Doomfire salsa, a sauce so potent it had once caused a ceasefire out of mutual fear. What he didn't know, what no one knew, was that the station wasn't abandoned. It had been hijacked by pirates, hungry ones. They boarded without a fight. That should have been the first sign. Bit quiet, Kayla said, stepping off the shuttle, carrying a spice crate in each hand. Too quiet? Daniel asked. Number like stomach growling quiet. Inside, they found the mess hall ransacked, empty rations, burned out heating units, a hand-scrawled note on the wall. We took the station. You took the food. Who's the real monster? Then came the sound, a voice crackling through the intercom, deep, gruff, slightly nasal. You're not the usual relief team. Daniel stepped up to the nearest speaker. You're not the usual starving crew. A pause. Then, you brought food? Daniel leaned in. I brought tacos. Another pause. Proceed. The pirates didn't ambush them. They escorted them, down corridors with makeshift barricades, past walls scribbled with phrases like, "We miss flavor," and "I'd kill for cumin." In the command deck, 20 armed beings, mixed species, tattoos, worn armor, stood motionless, staring at a tray of freshly grilled carne asada. You're Torres, one said, voice shaking. You're hungry, Daniel replied. They didn't deny it. He plated the first round with ritual precision. Tortillas, meat, pickled veggies, scorching salsa, then handed it to the pirate leader. She took one bite, then cried, openly, without shame. This tastes like home. Someone from the back whispered, we were going to take hostages. Another murmured, but now I just want seconds. They surrendered within 20 minutes, not because of tactics, because Daniel offered dessert. Kayla brought out fried cinnamon crisps with honey drizzle. One pirate tried to steal the whole tray. The others tackled him, not out of duty but desperation. The crew of the stolen station returned an hour later to find their captors asleep, smiling, and full. No shots fired, just full bellies. And a note on the wall. Best damn tacos in the quadrant. 10 out of 10 would surrender again. The coalition didn't know how to handle it. This man, said the admiral, reviewing the report, neutralized a pirate occupation with burritos? Yes, replied Nornock, now the official liaison to Daniel's culinary division. He's unarmed. Technically. He's untrained. Debatable. He's dangerous. Definitely. The admiral sighed. God help us if he ever opens a chain. Which of course he did. Not a chain, a ship. The SS Flavorborn, coalition-funded, civilian-crewed. Mission, bring food, bring peace, reduce conflict zones through shared meals and chronic food comas. Kayla became co-captain, head of logistics, keeper of sauces. Together, they went system to system, feeding, healing, laughing. One starship nearly exploded out of sheer joy when they introduced quesadillas with lime crema. Rumors said the Kellen-Meyertag Treaty only held because of monthly taco shipments. Some said even black hole cults tried to recruit Daniel. He declined, politely, with churros. They backed off, respectfully. Years passed. The universe didn't become perfect, but it tasted better. And wherever you went, if morale was low, If peace was failing, if the crew was ready to mutiny, there'd be a whisper, a signal, a smell drifting in on solar winds, and a message on a comm screen. The human cook is coming. And everyone would relax, because it meant soon things would be okay. Soon they'd eat.